Savannah Guthrie may put on a smile every day for work, but behind the headlines, she's had a life marked by tragic moments that changed her forever. On February 1st, 2026, Savannah Guthrie's 84-year-old mother, Nancy Guthrie, disappeared from her Arizona home. Authorities believe that Nancy may have been kidnapped in the middle of the night. Nancy had dinner at her other daughter Annie's home on Saturday, January 31st, before being driven back home by family. According to an official timeline of the evening provided by the sheriff's department, Nancy's garage door opened at 9:48 p.m. and closed 2 minutes later. At 1:47 a.m., the doorbell camera on Nancy's home was disconnected, and at 2:12 a.m., movement was detected by another camera at the home. At 2:28 a.m., Nancy's pacemaker disconnected from her in-home devices. The next morning, Nancy wasn't at church, which prompted her family to check on her. After arriving at Nancy's home around 12 p.m., a family member called 911. After a couple of days without any major leads that the public was made aware of, TMZ reported receiving what appeared to be a ransom note sent to the outlet via email. The note was sent over to investigators who have not publicly confirmed its legitimacy. On February 4th, Savannah and her siblings, Annie and Cameron, posted a video on Instagram in which they spoke directly to their mother's would-be captor, asking for proof of life, which they didn't receive.
We will not rest. Your children will not rest until we are together again.
On February 10th, the FBI released surveillance footage of a potential suspect. It was initially thought that any footage from Guthrie's doorbell camera would be inaccessible since she doesn't have a subscription, which is required for content to be saved to a server. However, according to FBI Director Kash Patel, they were able to snag the footage from residual data located in back-end systems. Later that night, police detained a man for questioning, but released him afterwards.
They show my in-law a picture of somebody wearing a mask or something, and they supposedly look like my eyes.
As of this video, whoever is behind the kidnapping remains at large. As if Nancy's abduction wasn't tragic enough, there's an added layer in the fact that she's Savannah's only surviving parent. When Savannah was a senior in high school, her father, Charles Guthrie, died suddenly after suffering a heart attack. Savannah told People in 2024, "The loss of my father was shocking and devastating. It cracked open our family and crushed us. He was our center. We just idealized him and adored him."
It was really hard, and it's very, it was a shock. One of those things that kind of changes your whole life, changes your whole personality, changes your family.
Following Charles's death, Savannah and her older sister Annie made sure that their mother was never alone for too long. In fact, both Savannah and Annie lived at home during their college years. Nancy continued living in Arizona after Savannah moved to New York for her career, but Annie stayed close by and, in 2025, purchased a home just a few miles away from her mom. Savannah and her husband, Michael Feldman, welcomed their daughter Vale in 2014. After giving birth, Guthrie told her Today Show colleagues, "I think we found heaven in this little hospital room in New York City." In the years that followed, Guthrie and Feldman had hopes of giving Vale a sibling, but their dreams were dashed when Guthrie experienced a miscarriage at age 41. She told Good Housekeeping, "I stopped even letting myself hope or believe I could get pregnant because the years were getting on. It wasn't that I thought it was impossible, I just thought it wasn't likely." This was apparently the first and only time that Guthrie has spoken out about her pregnancy loss. She didn't share any additional details about what happened or how far along in her pregnancy she was. However, the miscarriage took an emotional toll on Guthrie, who started doubting that she'd ever be able to carry another child to term. After having a miscarriage, Guthrie and her husband decided to turn to IVF treatments in an effort to grow their young family. In her 2022 interview with Good Housekeeping, Guthrie explained her mindset, saying, "I didn't want to get my hopes up. I just tried to tell myself that it would be okay if it didn't happen. Maybe it's not meant for me, and that's okay, because I've already been blessed so much in my life. I'm not entitled to have a baby too." Looking back, that mindset was probably a self-defense mechanism. Guthrie went through 2 rounds of IVF before finding out that she was pregnant again. In 2016, Guthrie shared the exciting news with her Today family. On December 8th, 2016, Guthrie and Feldman welcomed a son they named Charles after Guthrie's late father.
I feel like my family is complete and we're so happy.
It's no secret that Guthrie developed incredibly close relationships with her NBC family, including, for better or worse, former Today co-anchor Matt Lauer. In 2017, however, Guthrie was left completely shocked when Lauer was accused of sexual assault, specifically inappropriate sexual behavior in the workplace. The news was rattling to Lauer's colleagues, many of whom, including Guthrie, considered Lauer a friend. Lauer was effectively fired from Today. At the time, Guthrie told Today viewers that the allegations were shocking and appalling.
And I'm heartbroken for the brave colleague who came forward to tell her story and any other women who have their own stories to tell.
In a separate broadcast following his firing, she said that everybody on the show was having trouble dealing with the revelations and the fallout.
And it's just very painful for all of us at NBC and who are at the Today Show. And, it's very, very, very difficult.
Following Lauer's firing, his career never rebounded. It's unknown if he and Guthrie ever spoke again, but in 2024, a source told People magazine that Lauer had reconnected with some old friends 7 years after the scandal. It was another workplace heartbreak for Guthrie in 2024 when her dear friend Hoda Kotb announced that she'd be leaving today. Kotb broke the news to her friends in what was an emotional episode for all.
I seriously, I've been practicing so I wouldn't cry, but anyway, I did.
There's no way there wasn't going to be.
Obviously, the two remained friends outside of work, but not spending every day on set with her best friend was hard for Guthrie to deal with.
It's taking the news worse than Savannah Guthrie.
I know.
Who has
we should just show everybody the reality of what we're dealing with.
And drinking her feelings.
Kotb's official last day on Today was in January 2025, although she returned briefly a year later under more tragic circumstances to fill in for Guthrie during the search for her mom. Before finding her happily ever after with Michael Feldman, Savannah Guthrie was married to Mark Orchard. The two met in 2005 while they were both covering the Michael Jackson sexual abuse trial for different networks. At the time, Guthrie was working for Court TV and Orchard was with the BBC. In December that same year, Guthrie and Orchard tied the knot. However, the two split just 4 years later. Guthrie hasn't cared to speak much about her first marriage and subsequent divorce, but when she has opened up about that time in her life, the memories haven't been happy ones. In an interview with Monica Lewinsky on the Reclaiming podcast, Guthrie talked about her 2024 book, Mostly What God Does, Reflections on Seeking and Finding His Love Everywhere. During the interview, Guthrie said that her divorce was the one thing she didn't ever want to talk about.
It was horrible and sad, and it broke my heart. And it took me years to recover. And I'm not blaming anyone, but I don't really want to get into it.
She went on to say that she set that boundary early with her publisher because she was adamant that she didn't want to write about that painful time in her life. In 2023, Guthrie opened up about being diagnosed with laryngopharyngeal reflux, also known as LPR.
So my voice has been getting hoarser and hoarser as the...
But how would she know? Yeah, but how would she know that that's what it is?
Dr. Tara Narula was on hand to share some details about the condition, which is sometimes mistaken for asthma or seasonal allergies. Essentially, LCR is a specific type of acid reflux that affects a person's throat and voice. Heartburn and indigestion, the main symptoms of typical acid reflux, are not present. At the time, Guthrie balanced humor with honesty, acknowledging how disruptive the condition had become to her daily routine and on-air work. Dr. Narula then shared some tips on how to ease LCR symptoms, and Guthrie wasn't too excited about any of them, especially the bit about what foods she should avoid.
Spicy foods, fried foods, citrusy foods, wine, alcohol, coffee.
So just describe my
chocolate, right.
After that, Dr. Narula was asked if there are any long-term issues that might develop if someone were to refuse these sorts of lifestyle changes. Turns out there definitely are. All of that delicate tissue in your throat can get damaged over time. As Dr. Narula said,
So you can end up with things like vocal cord lesions, ulcers, strictures, and that can potentially even progress to laryngeal cancer.
While it's unclear if her LPR diagnosis was the underlying cause, Guthrie underwent surgery for a hemorrhagic polyp and a vocal nodule in December 2025, which was scary regardless because it directly affected the one thing that Guthrie needs to do her job, her voice.
Well, my voice sounds so bad, I sound like Toad from Mario Brothers.
For the longest time, she thought the issue stemmed from regular wear and tear, especially since she spent every day talking for a living. But after seeking medical expertise from Dr. Peek Wu at Mount Sinai, Guthrie learned that she had a ruptured blood vessel on one vocal cord that was affecting her voice. Guthrie underwent microlaryngeal surgery to fix the issue, with Dr. Wu able to remove the polyp without damaging any of the surrounding tissue. The surgery was a success, and Guthrie has been extremely grateful. After a period of complete vocal rest, Guthrie heard her new voice for the first time.
I am using my voice for the first time, and it sounds good. I could cry.
Guthrie learned the reality of having a boy versus having a girl when her son, Charlie, accidentally hit her in the eye with one of his toys when he was 2. Guthrie was simply playing with her toddler, who was holding a toy train in his hand while sitting in his mom's lap. Well, up went the toy, getting Guthrie in her right eye. At first, she didn't think much of it, but the resulting injury was quite serious. During an episode of The Today Show, Guthrie said that she ended up tearing her retina and losing her vision about 24 hours later. She explained,
They were afraid my retina would detach, and so they told me to just take it easy.
Ultimately, she underwent a number of laser treatments in hopes of avoiding surgery.
And they're essentially trying to weld back tear in the retina very carefully and really trying so hard to avoid the retina detaching.
Fortunately, Guthrie made a full recovery, and all the while, she made sure that Charlie didn't feel bad about accidentally maiming her.
Well, he's 2, so he doesn't even know what he did, and of course I wouldn't want to make him feel bad about it.
As if we didn't have enough proof already, it's obvious that Guthrie is a good mom through and through.